Hi, it's 975 and welcome to the Battle of the Lag. This was an engagement during our 5-day war with CAPS, in which we went in, took over one of their systems, held it ransom, and got paid out in tritium for our troubles. A success for the PPI insurance scam. This was Scooby doing high conflict zones. I don't know how long Scooby had been here. We've been party chatting for hours because I was off mining paynite. And Scooby said, oh my god, they've just dropped in a couple of cutters on me, they've launched fighters, I'm under attack. And Scooby managed to hold out from that point until our carriers arrived in system and we got down to the instance. Scooby soloed these two fighter using cutters for that long. It was an amazing bit of work. It definitely was some of the heroics of the 5-day war. The 5-day war itself was really quite fun. I think we lost a cutter due to a corvette due to station games, and we lost an FDL because somebody doesn't do their engineering. He knows who he is. Gotta keep mentioning until he does. And CAPS, on the other hand, I think they lost 2 cutters to Orcs carrier, a further cutter, a Chieftain, and their ally lost his Vette. So all in all, the fighting was quite sporadic. These guys had these really annoying cutters, which were all long range turreted pulses. They don't do any damage, but they eventually tickle you to death. I was under focus of 3 of them for a long time in my Rambo before I had to vacate the instance. In fact, I joked that the fighters do more damage than the turreted cutters, and honestly they feel like they do, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone actually showed me the stats and told me they did, because those little fighters, not only do they cause a mean amount of lag, they actually do output some decent DPS, and they're super annoying. So fair play to Scooby for holding his instance open for as long as he did. When I arrived, I was one of the few people that went, hold on a minute, we do want to actually win the instance, guys. So you know, I went after winning the instance as well as the rest of it. So I wanted to make sure that we actually won the fight and won the battle, because this was a high intensity conflict zone that they started this in. As you can see, Scooby and these guys have rolled a long way from that with the fighting. And Scooby was hilarious in comms with, you know, how much he was asking for help. And once Dark Owl arrived, he was most grateful. It was a fun engagement. It was, to be honest, it was a fun 5-day diversion for us. I really enjoyed it. It went on the same time as the mining CG, so it was a little while ago. It was great fun, and I honestly, Scooby deserves a medal for putting up with the amount of lag caused by 2 fighters. In one of the later fights, I think we popped the Chieftain and a couple of cutters, and at that point the lag was almost unbearable. It was horrific. I was missing cutters with frags because they were just warping across my screen. And if you look back at my video about the 5-day war and the PPI insurance, you can see the lag when we're fighting Haddock, because the other guy in the instance of Haddock was one of these cutters who just kept launching fighter after fighter after fighter after fighter. And even if you kill the fighter, it doesn't matter, the lag just builds up, and the longer you're in that instance, the worse it gets. And it must have been bad for Haddock as well, which is why I don't get why you would do it, because it's only the lag only doesn't affect the guy launching the fighter. Everyone else feels the lag really badly. So when they had 2 of them in here launching fighters, it's going to affect them. But I suppose they're using turreted pulses, so it's not like they've got to aim or do anything like that. This is Scooby in his PvE Vette variant, so it's all phasing pulses, you know, and he does, just like I say, just a really good job of holding the instance open until support arrived. And once Dark Owl dropped in, Scooby jumps out and goes off, gets repaired, and then came back and cleared another absolute bucket ton of conflict zones. And CAPS had no chance in winning the days of the wars. We won the first 2 days. Even after we declared peace on the 3rd day, and we'd only been doing conflict zones for a while, we had to warn them that they had to really put the effort in, or they might lose that day as well, given how many conflict zones we'd done at that point. As you can see, I drop in. I'm a little bit later to the party than some of the other guys. Some of the other guys got there before me, but you know, I had to jump my carrier all the way from my mining spot to come up here and do battle. I immediately set about taking out some fighters and then cooking myself ridiculously. You can see the lag there, because you shoot the fighter for ages before the damage registers. This is one subject that me and Fours agree on. Fighter lag is just something you shouldn't use in PvP. Just don't do it. Do not deploy your fighter in a PvP engagement. It's an exploit. You're causing lag for your opponent, so you can take advantage. It's cheap, it's scummy, and it's a dirty move. Just don't do it. You know, if, like me, I use a fighter when I go mining, I deploy it so when NPCs turn up to rob me, my fighter's protecting me. If someone drops in and starts attacking me, that's their fault. That's, you know, I haven't done anything wrong there. I'm allowed to use my fighter for PvE shit. And if they dropped in on Scooby and he already had a fighter out, that would have been fine. But Scooby doesn't use a fighter on any of his ships because of the fighter lag issue. In fact, a lot of people don't use the fighter at all because of the fighter lag issue. And I kind of respect that. I think the only ship of mine that's still got a fighter on it is my Type 9 mining ship. And I kind of need one on there because after I've taken into account my 2 mining lasers, I've got 2 small beams and 1 medium beam. So having the fighter's extra firepower is really helpful, especially when you get attacked by a wing of pirates. You know, my Type 9s are built to be tough, but they don't output the most amount of firepower. You know, where was I? Oh yeah. So Scooby did a miraculous job holding this instance open, and you can see just at this point how much that green bar built up just from Scooby killing fighters. It was ridiculous. You know, that is something that FDev need to look at actually, because there is kind of a dirty tactic that people do within conflict zones, where they'll join different sides and then just launch their fighter like skeet shooting them for their friends to shoot down, because it really racks up the influence quickly. It's a really dirty move. I'm aware of a few groups that do this tactic, and I've got to say it's just basically an exploit. We at the Dark Marauders like to do our conflict zones the old-fashioned way. Well, for one reason, we like to make a lot of money doing conflict zones. In fact, we made a fortune out of this war with CAPS. It's one of the reasons why we're doing PPI, is because it gives us an excuse to go start stuff that we can make money doing. You know, that was me sending a message to the leader of CAPS, because he's blocked loads of people and wanted to negotiate, but he'd blocked all the people that he wanted to negotiate with. So it's kind of like, you have to unblock them if you want to negotiate with them. It's not, you know, not rocket science. But as you can see, I stuck around in the conflict zone clearing it out, while the other guys chased off the cutters for a bit, and then they came back, and yeah, it was a fun 5-day war. We achieved our objective. We got CAPS to pay us out to leave them alone. You know, I'm not surprised CAPS are a group that use fighter lag. They are a group that also advocates combat logging, and you know, I will disagree with groups that like advocate and allow their members to combat log. It's just one of those things. You know, to me, if you're going to combat log, if you're engaged in combat in open, or if you're going to combat log to avoid death in open, then just think about your game mode. It's not. I know there's been people that have been debating me in my comments about it's fine to log on gankers and griefers. It's not fine. It's never fine to cheat. You know, I understand you don't want to die to a ganker or a griefer. I can completely get that. I understand that sometimes it's completely unfair. You know, this game is not fair. You get jumped by an entire wing when you're out just poodling around. It happens to me all the time. You know, when you fly Type 7 as often as I do, when you fly Type 9 as often as I do, when you fly Type 6 as often as I do, you get attacked by superior forces all the time. You know, if I was to sit and combat log every time,
you'll have to find another
20, 30 times a week, it's not sustainable. If you're going to play an open all the time, you have to find the right way to escape. And the right way to escape is legitimately using in-game tactics. So yeah, sorry, that's my rant about logging. It really come out of nowhere in this one. But that's the end of the video. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, and congratulations to Scooby. I think you deserve a medal, mate.
Oh, there we go. Oh, nice. It's cubes because you held out me now on this complex.
Commander, you really made a difference.
Yeah, because we all held out.